in this video, we'll look at how we can use the Falloff system to basically help us transfer skinning information from one mesh to another. So here you see I've got a mesh that just has a skin cluster on it, and this has just some normal skinning on here. I can go in and show you that we have all of these different kind of clavicles painted, all of this stuff here. So if we wanted to transfer this to like a normal geometry, like another geometry, we could always use the kind of copy skin weights onto, let's say that we had this geometry, which is like low resolution, which might be better for using in animation rigs or something like that. Now, if we wanted to kind of copy that over, that would then have to be a command. It would be like a bit of a destructive action that you would have to always remember to keep these in sync. Now, what we can actually do is we can use the Falloff system to keep this as basically like almost like a live update. So let's look at how we can do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get both of these skin clusters here. I'm going to get rid of, so that was the low. Let me get the high here as well. So let me just show auxiliary nodes here. So I'll just add these in. Oop. Sorry, let me just do that again. I'll add these in here. Cool. So what we want to do is we want to go basically from this high to this low, and we want to transfer the weights. So we want to go between these different topologies. I'm just going to hide those final ones. So how we can do that is that we can use this per influence weights here. And what we can actually do is we can use a node called the component Falloff, which is basically just using the Falloff system, but on a per vertex basis. So it's almost going against the point of the system with allowing you to, like against the Falloff system with allowing you to paint per vertex, but there's a lot of cases where that can actually be very useful. And the really great thing about this is that we can now get all of this kind of weighting information into the Falloff system. So we can take this and we go into per weight layers. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have transfer Falloff, because we need to transfer the skinning information and kind of convert it between these two different topologies. So we need to do like a world space copy basically, or like a transfer remap, however you want to kind of call it. So what we need to do here is we take the weight function. So this will now, the component Falloff will basically convert these into like a normal weight function as we can have in the kind of other systems that, so this could be like a primitive that you pass into this transfer Falloff as well, and you can do that between meshes. So what we need to do here now is into the transfer Falloff, we need to give it the shape that we want it to go to basically. So that's our kind of low cage here. So I'm going to get that in here. And I'm not 100% sure if we need to connect into the component Falloff here, but I am just doing it anyway. And to be able to get the kind of transfer Falloff into the skin cluster, we're going to be using what we looked at when we transfer the primitives into the skin cluster. We're going to be using the Falloff eval. And let me just do here. And I'll take these kind of output functions here, put that in here. And then at least here, I need to make sure that I connect in the geometry so that we're kind of going between these. So just go in here so you can see that there's quite a bit of a difference between these. And I can take the per vertex weights and boom, that looks weird now. So if we go back into, even going to post, this won't work. So like, what gives? What's wrong with this? What's kind of happening here? And this is one of the things that you have to kind of watch out for with the Falloff system, is that if we go through here, so you can see on the Falloff eval, there's not too much that we can change. And there's not really too much that we can change on the transfer, but on the component, by default, it will set the weight of each of these kind of inputs to 1. So that's basically the kind of the same issue as we had when we were adding in our kind of primitive Falloffs, is that they're kind of applied over each other. Like every single one, if we go in here now, and if you look at the weights that we're actually kind of getting here, you can see that the root joint, full, leg, full, knee, full, ankle, full, ball, full, and all of them are completely fully weighted. So what we have to go in is that we have to go in and we have to change these to 0. Now, I'm not going to go through and do that for all of these, because we can do this little thing here. So I'm just going to go through for I in range. I'm just going to write this quickly manually. So we need to go to 228, and I'm going to do just a quick commands set attribute, and I'm going to set this default to 0, and just going to set this to I, and we're going to just f string this, and that should be it. Cool. So now we changed all of these, but our skin cluster still doesn't look really nice here. If we change to interactive, it still goes away, and well, yet again, our trusty old DG Dirty will kind of come to the rescue here. Now, if we go in here, you can see, yeah. So I kind of mixed up that there a bit. Sorry about that. I put the low into the transfer Falloff, which was of course wrong, because we want to make sure that the component Falloff and the transfer Falloff is working on the kind of original geometry that we're coming from. So sorry, kind of a small mix up there. But you can see that there's a couple of different things that you have to watch out for. But because it's in a node setup, as soon as you've already done it, it's done. So we can now go in, and you can see that we have the same kind of skinning that's come through here, and I can go and I can see root. If I go add to selection, you can see that we basically have the same kind of skinning going through on all of these as well. And that's basically being kind of transferred through here as well. And that's pretty cool if you ask me. Now, one kind of easy way that you can do this as well is if you have two geometries that are exactly the same, but you, for example, just need to have the same skin cluster on another mesh for some reason. It might just be like a complete duplicate. It might be how your pipeline works. One thing that you can actually do then is that if we go in here and let me get that skin cluster again. What you can do is just kind of connect these the wait list values directly through. Honestly, don't remember if that was in pre-Maya 2022, but that was something that I just noticed now. So that might have always been there, but it's good to kind of just know about that. And yeah, just to be clear, I've actually just offset these here, which is why I'm using the kind of org shape there. So they're actually on top of each other. So all of this kind of transfer is happening basically kind of in world space, where it's just copying to the kind of closest one here. But I can now go in and I can paint on these, and let's say I do something like that. I paint that in. It goes through to this one. You can see it doesn't go through to this one until do a little DG dirty. So you can see there's a couple like little hiccups like this around here. So if you're messing about with these systems and you're expecting an update, or you've changed around something and it's not looking okay, do DG dirty -a just to make sure that the kind of system is evaluating correctly and you're kind of getting through all of the things that you're expecting.